Hello, lovelies. Got my drink. Got my book. Let's read you another Russian folktale on a wintry theme. An old peasant had in his yard an ox, a ram, a goose, a cock, and a pig. As guests were coming to dinner on the Sabbath, he told his wife, "Old woman, we need meat for the Sabbath. I'm going to kill the cock in the morning." Overhearing this bad news, the cock scurried off into the forest that very night. When the peasant went to wring his neck before sunrise, the cock was nowhere to be seen. That same evening, the peasant told his wife, "I could not find the cock. I shall have to kill the pig instead." Overhearing this, the pig, too, fled into the forest. The old man searched high and low for the pig, but without success. "How strange," he thought. "First the cock, and now the pig. I shall have to slaughter the ram." When the ram heard the news, he went to the goose and suggested that they should run away together, or they should surely be killed. So as soon as it was dark, the ram and the goose made off to the forest. Though the peasant searched every corner of the yard, he could find no trace of the ram or the goose. "That leaves only the ox," he sighed. "A pity to kill him, but we must have meat for the holy day." On hearing that, the ox plodded off to join his comrades in the forest. And throughout the summer, life was free and food was plentiful. The runaway creatures had not a care in the world. But summer passed all too quickly, and winter was not far off. As the autumn leaves withered, and thin layers of ice blocked the waterhole, the ox approached the other animals. "Listen to me, brothers. Winter will soon be upon us. We must build ourselves a hut." The ram, however, answered, "I have a warm woolen coat. I shall winter in that." Then the pig spoke up. "No hard frosts bother me. I'll burrow a hole in the ground with my snout and do without a hut." The goose also refused to join the ox. "I shall use one wing as a pillow, bury my head in it, and use the other as an eiderdown. The icy winds will not worry me." The cock, too, shook his head. "I shall shelter from the winter in a fir tree." The ox saw that he could expect no help from his fellow creatures. He would have to do all the building himself. "As you wish," he sighed, "then I shall build a hut for myself." And he built himself a strong wooden hut, stoked up the stone stove, and settled down on top of it, warm and snug. Almost overnight, autumn yielded to winter. The first snows came, and the wind sent icy blasts through the trees. The ram rushed about, but despite his woolen fleece, he shivered and shook and could not keep warm. At last he went to the ox. "Let me into your hut." "No, Baron Baronich," replied the ox. "I asked you to help me build the hut, but you said you had a warm coat and did not need a hut." "If you do not let me in, I shall break down your door with my horns," cried the ram. That worried the ox. "Perhaps I'd better let him in," he mumbled, "or I shall have no door." "All right, come in." The ram entered and settled on a bench by the stove. Not long afterwards, the pig arrived. "Let me in to warm myself." "Certainly not," said the ox. "I asked you to help, but you said the frosts did not worry you. You would burrow a hole." "If you don't let me in," warned the pig, "I shall break down your doorposts with my snout." That set the ox thinking, and he finally made up his mind to let in the pig. In hobbled the pig, and wandered down the stairs to the cellar. After the pig came the goose. "Honk! Ox, let me in to get warm." "No. No, Ghost Goosich. You cannot come in. You have 2 warm wings, one for a pillow, the other for an eiderdown. You will not be cold." "If you do not open the door," warned the goose, for gooses are vicious, "I shall peck all the moss from your window." The ox had to give in. He didn't want a draft, and the goose waddled in and perched on a post by the door. A little later, the cock arrived. "Buck, buck, buck, ox, let me into your warm hut." "I shall not, Petya," replied the ox. "Go and winter in a fir tree, as you said." "If you do not let me in, I shall fly onto your roof and peck holes in it to let the drafts in." Of course, the ox had to open the door, and in strutted the cock. He flew up to a beam above the door and settled down to sleep. So, the 5 creatures lived together for the winter in the warm hut. But their peace was short-lived, for a wolf and a bear came to hear of the new residents. "Let us go to the hut, eat them all, and live there ourselves," Mikhailo Ivanovich suggested to Levon the wolf. On that, they agreed, but once outside the hut, they argued as to who would enter first. "You go first," said Levon. "You are the stronger." "No, you go," replied the bear. "I am too clumsy. You are nimbler than me." At last, the wolf gave in and burst through the door of the hut. No sooner had he passed through the doorway, however, than the ox pinned him to the wall with his long horns. The ram butted him from the side, and the pig grunted from the cellar. "I'm sharpening the axe. I'm sharpening the knife. I shall skin the wolf alive." From the other side, the goose pecked the wolf, and the cock hopped about on his beam above the door, screeching, "That's the way! Give it to him! I'll slit his throat! I'll hang him from the beam!" Outside the hut, the bear could hear the great hullabaloo, and took to his heels. Meanwhile, the wolf twisted and turned, his grey fur flying under the assault, his body battered and scratched. At last, he tore himself free and dashed after the bear. When he had caught up with him, the panic-stricken wolf told his story. "Oh, Mikhailo Ivanovich, it was terrible, terrible. Those ruffians almost beat me to death. First, a huge peasant in a black smock charged at me, knocking me against the wall, and then set upon me with 2 great clubs. Then another rogue, this one a smaller grey-clad fellow, butted me from one side, while another, in a white caftan, scratched me from the other side, and the smallest of the band, in a red apron, pranced about on a beam above my head, screaming, 'That's the way, give it to him, I'll slit his throat, I'll hang him from the beam.' Then from the cellar another brigand bellowed, 'I'm sharpening my axe, I'm sharpening the knife, I shall skin the wolf alive.' I was lucky to escape with my life." From that day on, the wolf and the bear kept well clear of the hut, fearing the 5 monstrous creatures who dwelt within. And the ox, the ram, the goose, the cock, and the pig lived together with no one to disturb their peace.
I can make it happen. I can get you anything you want. You just have to talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me. I'm your priest. I'm your shrink. I'm your main connection to the switchboard of souls. I'm the magic man. The Santa Claus of the subconscious. You say it. You even think it. You can have it.